Back in the 19th century, women were treated like property, and it was legal for men to chastise or abuse women and children. And it wasn't until sort of the 1920s and the sort of the evolution of the battered women's movement. Historically, actually, cruelty was recognized as a reason for divorce, even as late as the 1850s through the 1890s. As far as laws recognizing it as a crime, with regard to the battered women's syndrome, that came into play in the 1970s, early 1980s. The first case where battered women's syndrome was recognized in a court of law. And the laws with regard to domestic violence on the criminal end started coming into being after, actually, a lot of them, the Violence Against Women's Act in 1994, when that was passed. The strengthening of the criminal law to go along with the civil law has really helped propel us into a situation where our communities and society as a whole really looks down upon domestic violence, and it is considered to be a bad thing as opposed to a silent epidemic that's really covered up by the privacy of the home. The other things that I think that we need really are more services for women and children. One thing that was passed this last legislative session was a task force for domestic violence was created, and so it's supposed to study the impact of of domestic violence on women and children and have a report for 2015. So we know one of the main issues that comes out of domestic violence is the effect on children, and children. We know from studies, sociological and psychological studies, that there's a large number of children that are affected by domestic violence. 3.3 to 10 million annually are either they hear domestic violence, they see domestic violence. Some of them see their parent killed. And so one thing that we do know also from those studies is that domestic violence is learned. And so those boys and girls who see it sometimes interpret that as the normal way to be in relationships. And so they enter into relationships and either become batterers or battered. So I think more education needs to be out in our communities, as well as services for children and women who have psychological scars that usually last a lifetime.